Many people are praying for success, praying for increase, praying for favor, praying for influence, praying for open doors. But they have built nothing that can manage the answer if God gave it to them. Write that down. It is possible to ask God for something that your present life cannot administrate. You can desire it, you can cry for it, you can fast for it, you can even have people lay hands on you for it. But if there is no order in your life, the blessing you are asking for can become the very thing that destroys you. Prayer is not a substitute for order. Prayer does not cancel structure. Prayer activates lawful alignment with the purposes of God. In other words, prayer is not you begging God to bless your confusion. Prayer is you submitting yourself to the government of heaven so that heaven can bring your life into agreement with the King's original intention. Are you with me? God is not a religious idea. God is a king. His kingdom is a government. His word is the Constitution. And every blessing in the kingdom operates by principles, not by emotional begging. That is why you cannot come to God with tears and no truth, noise and no discipline, desire and no management, and expect the king to violate his own order because you sounded sincere. Sincerity does not replace law. Passion does not replace principle. Shouting does not replace stewardship. You can shout until your voice is gone, but if your life has no schedule, no discipline, no systems, no stewardship, no written vision, no accountability, then you are not ready for the thing you keep asking God to release. And this is where religion has damaged many people, because religion taught them to use prayer to escape responsibility. So they pray instead of plan. They pray instead of prepare. They pray instead of manage. They pray instead of write the vision, count the cost, correct the habit, fix the budget, honor the time, build the system, and become dependable. Then when nothing changes, they call it spiritual warfare. No, sometimes it is not warfare. Sometimes it is disorder, asking God to endorse it. Listen carefully. God will not bless what you refuse to structure, because blessing without structure becomes destruction. If God gives increase to disorder, the increase multiplies the disorder. If God gives influence to an undisciplined person, the influence exposes the undisciplined. If God opens a door for a person with no internal government, that open door becomes a crisis. So before we go deeper, if this is already touching an area of your life, stay with it. Don't run from correction. Correction is the mercy of government. Take a moment to like this message and subscribe if you are committed to becoming the kind of person God can trust with responsibility. And comment, "I choose order," if you are ready to stop using prayer to avoid personal responsibility, because prayer does not hide disorder. Prayer exposes where structure is missing. Now, let me redefine success for you, because most people are praying for success and they don't even know what success is. Success is not applause. Success is not money. Success is not visibility. Success is not people knowing your name. Success is not escaping work so you can sit down and look important. That is not success. In the kingdom, success is the fulfillment of the original purpose for which a thing was created. Write that down. Success is not how famous you are. Success is not how much people clap for you. Success is when the thing God designed you to be is functioning according to the purpose for which He created you. That means success is not a miracle first. Success is a managed assignment. Are you with me? God does not create anything without a purpose, and wherever there is purpose, there must be management. Purpose without management becomes waste. Purpose without discipline becomes frustration. Purpose without order becomes decay. Anything unmanaged decays, even if it was originally blessed. You can have a blessed marriage and mismanage it until it breaks. You can have a blessed business and mismanage it until it collapses. You can have a blessed gift and mismanage it until it embarrasses you. The blessing is not the problem. The management is the problem. This is why religious thinking is so dangerous. Religion keeps asking God to do everything, while the person refuses to govern anything. Religion says, "Lord, bless me. Lord, increase me. Lord, favor me. Lord, open the door." But kingdom thinking asks a different question. Kingdom thinking says, "What law governs this result, and what responsibility must I fulfill?" That is a different mentality. Religion wants God to violate process because you are emotional. Kingdom citizenship says, "Show me the principle, show me the law, show me the assignment, and I will align myself with the government of heaven." Do you understand what I am saying? Go back to Genesis. Genesis is not just the beginning of the earth. Genesis is the beginning of God's pattern. Before God placed man in the garden, God created an ordered environment. He separated light from darkness. He separated waters. He established times and seasons. He created systems. He created resources. He created boundaries. Then he placed man in that environment and gave him an assignment. He told him to work it, guard it, name it, govern it, manage it. In other words, God did not put Adam in chaos and tell him to sing worship songs over it. Eden was not confusion with music playing in the background. Eden was structure. Please hear me carefully. Eden had boundaries. Eden had resources. Eden had authority. Eden had responsibility. Eden had law. Eden had consequence. That is the kingdom pattern. God gives purpose, then He gives environment, then He gives responsibility, then He watches management. So when you say, "Lord, give me more," heaven asks, "What have you done with what I already gave you?" How can God give you more when you have not governed what He already gave you? Come on, are you with me? You want more money, but you have not governed the money you have. You want more influence, but you have not governed your mouth. You want more opportunity, but you have not governed your time. You want a bigger platform, but you have not governed your private life. A business without systems is a prayer waiting to be frustrated. A family without standards is a prayer waiting to be frustrated. A ministry without administration is a prayer waiting to be frustrated. A calling without discipline is a prayer waiting to be frustrated. And then people say, "The devil is attacking me." No, sometimes your own disorder is attacking you. Sometimes your lack of management is the weapon formed against you, and you formed it yourself. Kingdom success is purpose under management, not desire without discipline. So stop measuring success by who saw you, who liked you, who invited you, who applauded you, who paid attention to you. The question is not, "Am I visible?" The question is, "Am I faithful to the original purpose?" The question is not, "Do people celebrate me?" The question is, "Can God trust me to manage what He assigned to me?" Because in the kingdom, the greatest evidence of maturity is not excitement, it is management. Now, if success is a managed assignment, then prayer must be understood correctly, because many people are praying, but they are not petitioning. They are performing. They are making noise. They are expressing emotion. And there is nothing wrong with emotion, but emotion is not evidence. Write that down. Emotion is not evidence. In a kingdom, prayer is not a religious performance. Prayer is a petition. And petition is a legal word. It means you are approaching authority with a specific request, based on law, based on covenant, based on promise, based on your rights, and based on your alignment with the government you are appealing to. You cannot understand prayer if you keep thinking like a religious person. You must think like a citizen. A citizen does not run into the courtroom screaming, "Judge, I feel bad. Judge, I cried last night. Judge, I need help," and then expect the judge to violate procedure because the citizen is emotional. No. The judge will say, "Where are your documents? Where is your record? Where is your proof? Where is your evidence? What law are you appealing to? What precedent supports your case? Are you with me?" The court is not moved by volume. The court is moved by lawful evidence. So if earthly courts understand procedure, why do we think the kingdom of heaven is less orderly than the systems men created? That is why God says in Isaiah, "Put me in remembrance. Let us plead together. Declare thou, that thou mayest be justified." That is legal language. He is not saying, "Come and impress me with your feelings." He is saying, "Bring my word back to me. Bring my promise. Bring my covenant. Bring the evidence of alignment. Present the case in a way that can be justified." In other words, God invites you into lawful conversation. He says, "Let us plead together." Not beg together, plead. That means present grounds, present reason, present evidence, present the constitutional clause. This is why you must know the Word, because the Word is your evidence in the court of the King. But here is where we miss it. We quote promises with no structure. We quote scriptures over areas we refuse to manage. We say, "Lord, bless my finances," but you have no budget. Where is the evidence? You say, "Lord, increase my business," but you have no records, no system, no schedule, no process, no customer follow-up, no accounting. Where is the evidence? You say, "Lord, bless my marriage," but you have no communication structure, no forgiveness practice, no time set aside, no honor in your speech, no discipline over your temper. Where is the evidence? You say, "Lord, use my gift," but you do not study, you do not rehearse, you do not practice, you do not submit to training. Where is the evidence? Structure is evidence that your prayer is serious. Your calendar is evidence. Your budget is evidence. Your written plan is evidence. Your habits are evidence. Your stewardship is evidence. Your ability to show up on time is evidence. Your ability to keep your word is evidence. Your ability to manage the small things without applause is evidence. Heaven is not confused by your shouting. Heaven is examining your order. Because when you bring a petition before the king is not only listening to what you ask, he is looking at what you have prepared. Some of you are not presenting petitions, you are presenting wishes. A wish is desire without government. A petition is desire under law. A wish says, "I want this." A petition says, "According to your purpose, according to your promise, according to your principle, and according to the order I have submitted to, I request this for the fulfillment of the assignment." That is different. One is fantasy, the other is kingdom procedure. So stop calling every emotional request prayer. Prayer is not just talking. Prayer is lawful communication with the government of heaven. And if you cannot show order in the area you are praying over, then your first answer from God may not be increase. It may be instruction. It may be correction. It may be, go build the structure, because structure is the evidence that your prayer is serious, and until your life produces evidence, your mouth may be asking for what your management has already disqualified. Now here is the next thing you must understand. Sometimes the issue is not God's willingness. Sometimes the issue is your capacity. Write that down. Capacity is the ability to carry, govern, distribute, and sustain what you are asking for. And many people are calling God silent when heaven is actually being merciful. Because if God gave you what you are praying for right now, it would crush the part of your life you have refused to build. You keep saying, Lord, pour out more. But heaven is saying, where will you put it? You say, Lord, send increase. And heaven says, what system will manage it? You say, Lord, promote me. And heaven says, what character will survive it? You say, Lord, enlarge my territory. And heaven says, what discipline will govern the territory? Are you with me? The problem is not always that God does not want to bless you. The problem is that your present structure cannot carry the weight of the answer. Capacity is built. It does not fall on you like rain. Capacity is built through habits. Capacity is built through systems. Capacity is built through preparation. Capacity is built through skill. Capacity is built through character. Capacity is built through stewardship. In other words, capacity is the internal and external order that makes blessing governable. You cannot pray for a gallon blessing with a cup life and then blame God because the gallon did not arrive. If your vessel is small, the supply may have to stop. Remember the woman with the oil. The prophet told her to borrow vessels, not a few. That means the instruction before the flow was capacity. Lord, have mercy. The miracle did not begin with oil only. It began with vessels. The oil flowed as long as there were vessels to receive it. When the vessels stopped, the oil stopped. Not because the source was empty, but because capacity was finished. That is a law. Supply responded to capacity. The limitation was not in the oil. The limitation was in the available vessels. Some of you are asking for overflow, but you have no vessels, no documented process, no trained team, no schedule, no financial margins, no mental order, no emotional regulation, no ability to answer email properly, no ability to return calls, no ability to follow through on what you promised, no ability to rest, think, plan, decide, and execute. But you want overflow. Overflow into what? Into confusion? Into panic? Into your unhealed emotions? Into your disorganized business? Into your undocumented ministry? Come on, talk to me. Heaven is not going to waste oil because you enjoy the idea of abundance. This is where we must confront the fantasy of sudden promotion. Many people think promotion will fix them. No, promotion reveals you. Promotion exposes what preparation should have corrected. Promotion without preparation multiplies pressure. It makes small weaknesses public. It makes private disorder expensive. It can embarrass the very gift God gave you. That is why some people are more anointed than they are organized. And when the door opens, their gift gets them in the room, but their lack of capacity gets them removed from the room. Even Jesus understood this law. When he fed the multitude, he did not just throw bread into chaos. Read it carefully. Before multiplication, he made the people sit down in groups. He organized the environment. He created order before distribution. Why? Because a miracle without management becomes confusion. If thousands of hungry people are standing everywhere grabbing at bread, the miracle becomes a mob. So Jesus organized the people, blessed the bread, broke it, gave it to the disciples, and the disciples distributed it. That is system. That is order. That is administration. So here is the governing law. Heaven can multiply what earth organizes, but disorder limits distribution. Say that again. Heaven can multiply what earth organizes, but disorder limits distribution. God may be willing to release more, but He often withholds increase until capacity is built to govern it. So stop asking only, can God do it? That is not the question. Of course God can do it. The question is, can you carry it? Can you govern it? Can you distribute it? Can you sustain it without becoming proud, chaotic, exhausted, offended, or irresponsible? Your next level may not require another prophecy. It may require another vessel. It may require a system. It may require training. It may require a budget. It may require therapy for your emotions, discipline for your time, skill for your assignment, and character for your influence. Because God answers capacity, not fantasy. And when your capacity is built, the same God who seemed silent may suddenly release what He was holding back, not because He changed His mind, but because you finally built something that could carry the answer. Now let me take you one step deeper. The blessing needs a system to travel through. Write that down. Structure is the invisible road that allows blessing to move from promise into manifestation. You don't see the road when you are talking about destiny, but without the road, destiny has nowhere to move. You can have a promise from God. You can have a word over your life. You can have a vision in your spirit. But if there is no structure, the vision remains trapped in inspiration. It never becomes administration. This is why vision without structure becomes frustration. Many people are not frustrated because they have no vision. They are frustrated because their vision has no operational pathway. They saw it, they heard it, they believed it, they even cried over it, but they never built the road. They never built the process. They never built the schedule. They never built the team. They never built the budget. They never built the record system. So the idea keeps visiting their mind, but never entering the earth. Come on, are you understanding me? An idea needs a body. Purpose needs a system. A dream needs administration. Look at a nation. A nation cannot run by inspiration only. Imagine a president waking up every morning saying, "I feel led today." Oh, that sounds spiritual, but the country will collapse by Friday. A nation needs laws. It needs offices. It needs roles. It needs records. It needs budgets. It needs courts. It needs roads. It needs departments. It needs systems for food, water, defense, trade, education, health, communication, and justice. Why? Because government is not emotion. Government is order. And the kingdom of God is a government, not a religious club. So if earthly nations know that purpose must be carried by systems, why do kingdom citizens think their lives can be governed by feelings? Your life is also a domain to govern. Say that. My life is a domain to govern. That means your personal government includes your time, your money, your relationships, your health, your learning, your work, and your spiritual devotion. These are not random areas. These are territories. And every territory must be governed. If you don't govern your time, lateness will govern it. If you don't govern your money, debt and impulse will govern it. If you don't govern your relationships, offense and manipulation will govern them. If you don't govern your health, appetite and neglect will govern it. If you don't govern your mind, every voice with volume will become your counselor. Disorder blocks movement. Late habits block opportunity because doors do not stay open forever while you are still getting ready. Poor records block financial growth because increase cannot be measured, tracked, protected, or multiplied when nobody knows where anything is. Unclear priorities block vision because everything becomes urgent and nothing becomes important. Emotional instability blocks leadership because people cannot follow someone whose internal government changes every hour. You cannot lead a family, a company, a ministry, or an assignment if your soul has no constitution. One day you are excited, the next day you disappear. One day you are committed, the next day you are offended. One day you want the promise, the next day you cannot answer a message. That is not warfare. That is no government. Now, don't misunderstand me. God is not against spontaneity. The Holy Spirit can move suddenly. God can interrupt a plan. God can breathe on a moment. But listen carefully. God may interrupt order, but He does not build destiny on confusion. Even creation followed sequence. Read Genesis. There was separation. There was naming. There was timing. There was assignment. God separated light from darkness. He separated waters. He named things. He established days. He created seasons. Then He gave man responsibility. That means order existed before assignment was released. God did not create in confusion and then call it good. He brought order, then He called it good. So here is your diagnostic. Where are you praying for fruit while refusing to build roots? Where are you praying for harvest while refusing to build fences? Where are you praying for flow while refusing to build channels? Where are you praying for consistency while refusing to build routines? Don't just say amen. Examine your government. Because structure is the infrastructure that allows purpose to move without collapsing. And when the road is built, what looked delayed can finally travel. Now, I want to correct something, because if we don't correct it, you will keep blaming spiritual warfare for what is really poor government. Not every delay is warfare. Not every closed door is persecution. Not every lack is a mysterious season. Sometimes the door is closed because you were not ready to walk through it. Sometimes the money is missing because you did not manage the last money. Sometimes the relationship is strained because you kept calling pride discernment. Sometimes the opportunity passed because you were late, unprepared, and casual, and then you said, "The enemy is fighting me." No, no, no. Stop spiritualizing irresponsibility. Write this down. Warfare is real, but mismanagement is also real. The devil exists, but so does laziness. Demons are real, but so are bad decisions. Principalities exist, but so does poor planning. You cannot give the devil credit for what your own disorder produced. If the bills are unpaid because you have no budget, that is not warfare first, that is a stewardship issue. If your body is breaking down because you refuse rest, discipline, movement, wisdom, and restraint, do not call that an attack first. That may be neglect producing a harvest. If your business is struggling because you have no records, no service standard, no follow-up system, no written plan, and no financial discipline. Don't gather people to rebuke spirits over a business you refuse to govern. Come on, are you with me? We have taught people to use religious language to protect immature behavior. I'm just waiting on God. Are you really? Or are you avoiding the instruction He already gave you? Some people say, I'm waiting on the Lord, but the Lord is waiting on them to write the plan, waiting on them to make the call, waiting on them to apologize, waiting on them to learn the skill, waiting on them to get up on time, waiting on them to stop being sentimental and become responsible. Waiting is not the same as avoidance. Biblical waiting is active alignment. It is not sitting in confusion, hoping heaven will do your homework. Do not ask God to bless a business plan you never wrote. Do not ask God to bless a body you never steward. Do not ask God to bless a marriage you never serve. Do not ask God to bless a calling you never prepare for. Do not ask God to open nations to you when you cannot govern your bedroom, your calendar, your appetite, your mouth, and your attitude. That is not condemnation. That is correction. And correction is not rejection. Correction is the King saying, "You are too valuable to remain childish." Faith is not passive. Faith is not sitting down with spiritual vocabulary and natural laziness. Faith obeys law. Faith moves in wisdom. Faith prepares vessels before the oil flows. Faith studies the promise until it understands the principle behind it. Faith acts on instruction. Faith builds an ark before rain comes. Faith gathers jars before oil comes. Faith organizes the people before bread multiplies. Faith does not just shout, "I believe." Faith asks, "What does belief require me to build?" That is why James says faith without works is dead. In other words, belief without corresponding structure has no body in the earth. You can say you believe in health, but where is the practice? You can say you believe in financial freedom, but where is the budget? You can say you believe in your assignment, but where is the preparation? You can say you believe in reconciliation, but where is the humility? Faith must become visible through obedience, structure, management, and consistent action. If your faith has no work, no plan, no discipline, no preparation, no evidence, then James says it is dead. Not weak, dead. So this is not to shame you. Shame paralyzes, but truth awakens. God is not exposing your disorder to embarrass you. He is exposing it to mature you. He is not rejecting you because you lack structure. He is inviting you into government. He is saying, "Stop asking me to bless what you refuse to manage. Stop asking me to multiply what you refuse to organize. Stop asking me to increase what you refuse to steward." Because faith is not proven by what you ask for. Faith is proven by what you prepare for. And when preparation begins, when order begins, when stewardship begins, you may discover that what you called warfare was really an invitation to grow up. Now let me give you a pattern, because correction without pattern becomes frustration. It is not enough to tell people, "Get order." They need to know how order is built. Write this down. Purpose, principle, plan, practice. Say it again. Purpose, principle, plan, practice. That is a kingdom sequence. That is how prayer becomes structure. That is how desire becomes discipline. That is how a word from God begins to take on bones, muscles, skin, and movement in the earth. Purpose asks, why did God give me this assignment? Not, who is doing it better than me? Not, who has more followers than me? Not, who got there before me? Purpose asks original intent. Why was this given? Why was this gift placed in me? Why did God put me in this family, this business, this ministry, this season, this nation, this generation? Until purpose is clear, success will be defined by comparison, and comparison is a dangerous government. It will make you abandon your assignment to chase another man's applause. So the first question is not, how do I get bigger? The first question is, what was this created to serve? Because in the kingdom, purpose is the measure of success. When purpose is clear, then you ask principle. Principle asks, what law governs this result? This is where many people fail. They have passion, but they do not search for law. They say, I want a fruitful marriage, but they never study honor, forgiveness, communication, sacrifice, patience, and covenant. They say, I want wealth, but they never study stewardship, diligence, generosity, saving, investing, skill, integrity, and delayed gratification. They say, I want influence, but they never study service, wisdom, humility, speech, timing, and trust. Every result in the kingdom is governed by principle. God does not produce fruit randomly. Fruitfulness has conditions. Read your Bible. Meditate on wisdom. Study people who have governed that area well. Ask, what law is attached to this fruit? Are you with me? Then comes plan. Plan asks, what structure must carry this purpose? Oh, this is where religious people get nervous. They say, I don't want to plan too much because I want to leave room for God. Oh, please. The plan does not replace God. The plan gives obedience a body. The plan is not your God. The plan is your servant. The plan is the container that allows instruction to become action. If God tells Noah rain is coming, Noah does not sit down and say, I am trusting God. No, he gets measurements. He gets wood. He gets a design. He gets a timetable. He starts building. Faith needs architecture. So your plan turns desire into calendars, budgets, boundaries, roles, routines, and measurable steps. If you say, Lord, bless my finances, then where is the plan? Show me the budget. Show me the giving plan. Show me the debt strategy. Show me the saving system. Show me the skill path that increases your value. Show me the accountability that keeps your appetite from eating your future. Don't just say, I believe God for financial breakthrough, and then spend emotionally, borrow foolishly, give inconsistently, work casually, and record nothing. That is not faith. That is confusion wearing church clothes. If you are praying for leadership, where is the plan? What are you studying every week? Who are you serving without needing to be seen? How are you training your emotions so your mood does not become policy? What decision system do you use before you speak, hire, correct, invest, commit, or quit? Leadership is not a microphone. Leadership is government. Leadership is the ability to bring order, protection, direction, and responsibility to people and resources. So if you want God to make you a leader, build study rhythms, service habits, emotional discipline, listening practices, and decision structures. Otherwise, you are not asking for leadership, you are asking for attention. Then comes practice. Practice asks, what must I repeatedly do until capacity becomes character? This is the part nobody likes because practice is not exciting. Practice is repetition. Practice is showing up when nobody claps. Practice is doing the right thing long enough for it to become your nature. Practice is where discipline becomes the servant of destiny. You don't become faithful because you shouted one Sunday. You become faithful because you practiced obedience on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday when nobody was watching. You don't become wise because you heard one message. You become wise because you keep applying truth until your instincts change. Practice is how capacity becomes character. At first, you are forcing yourself to budget. Then, budgeting becomes government. At first, you are forcing yourself to forgive quickly. Then, mercy becomes part of your constitution. At first, you are forcing yourself to wake up, study, serve, exercise, plan, record, apologize, follow through, and finish. Then, after a while, you are not just doing discipline. Discipline has formed you. That is maturity. Maturity is when law is no longer only written on paper. It is written into your habits. So stop separating prayer from structure. Prayer becomes powerful when purpose is governed by principle, plan, and practice. Purpose keeps you from drifting. Principle keeps you lawful. Plan keeps you organized. Practice keeps you consistent. That is kingdom government. That is how you take a request out of the air and give it administration in the earth. Now, here is what I want you to do. Don't just listen and say, "That was good." No, write down one area where you have been praying but have not been structuring. One area: your money, your health, your marriage, your calling, your business, your leadership, your time, your spiritual life. Write it down. Then ask 4 questions. What is the purpose? What principle governs it? What plan must carry it? What practice must form me? If you answer those questions honestly, you will stop begging God to bless confusion, and you will begin presenting heaven with lawful structure. And when prayer finds purpose, principle, plan, and practice, the thing you have been asking for finally has somewhere to land. Now watch this carefully, because this is where many people miss their promotion. God does not begin by trusting you with much. He begins by observing what you do with little. Write that down. The little thing is not a punishment. The little thing is an examination. The little thing is the test that reveals whether your internal government is ready for larger territory. Jesus said, "If you are faithful over little, you will be ruler over much." Notice the language. He did not say, "If you are excited over little." He did not say, "If you complain over little." He did not say, "If you post about little and tell everybody, 'My season is coming.'" He said, "Faithful." Faithful means consistent under assignment. Faithful means responsible when the measure is small. Faithful means you govern what has been entrusted even when nobody is clapping, nobody is watching, nobody is celebrating, and nobody knows your name. Small things reveal governing capacity. Your private calendar reveals government. Your private appetite reveals government. Your private attitude reveals government. Your private finances reveal government. Your private conversations reveal government. The way you treat the person who cannot promote you reveals government. The way you handle one room reveals whether you are ready for a platform. The way you govern your house reveals whether you are ready for nations. The way you account for $100 reveals whether you are ready for 100,000. Come on, are you with me? God does not need your advertisement. He reads your administration. This is why obscurity is not always rejection. Sometimes obscurity is the classroom of dominion. God tests dominion in hidden places before he exposes it in public places. David was anointed king, but he still had to govern sheep. Joseph had a dream of rulership, but he had to govern Potiphar's house and then govern a prison. Jesus was called the Son of God, but he spent years in a carpenter's house before he stood in the synagogue. Why? Because visibility without stability is dangerous. If your structure is not built in obscurity, your gift will shake in visibility. Look at the parable of the talents. This is not a religious story. It is a kingdom management case. A master gave one servant 5 talents, another 2, another 1, each according to his ability. That means assignment was measured by capacity. Then the master went away, and when he returned, he did not ask them how emotional they were. He did not ask if they felt overlooked. He did not ask if they had a powerful prayer meeting around the talent. He asked for an account. What did you do with what I entrusted to you? The servant with 5 produced 5 more. The servant with 2 produced 2 more. Both received the same commendation because faithfulness is not measured by comparison. It is measured by responsibility. The one with 2 was not condemned for not having 5. He was honored because he governed his measure. That means God is not judging you because somebody else has more. Stop comparing your assignment. Your issue is not their 5. Your issue is your 2. Your issue is your 1. What are you doing with what is in your hand? Now the unprofitable servant is important. He was not condemned because he had less. He was condemned because he buried responsibility. He took what belonged to the master and hid it in the ground. In other words, he protected himself from risk, but produced nothing for the owner. Oh, this is serious. Some people call that humility. I don't want to make a mistake. No, sometimes that is fear disguised as humility. Sometimes that is laziness dressed in caution. Sometimes that is irresponsibility wearing the language of waiting. The master did not say, "You poor thing, you only had 1." He said, "You wicked and lazy servant." Why? Because in the kingdom, unused responsibility is rebellion against purpose. So to the person who feels overlooked, listen to me carefully. God may not be ignoring your prayer. He may be watching your management. He may be watching how you handle the current measure. He may be watching how you steward the small opportunity, the small income, the small team, the small audience, the small apartment, the small business, the small ministry, the small influence. You are asking, "Lord, when will you enlarge me?" And heaven is asking, "What have you done with what I already gave you?" Delay can be development. Don't despise it. Structure built in obscurity becomes stability in visibility. The habits you form when nobody knows you become the government that protects you when everybody sees you. So stop asking for a platform if you cannot manage a room. Stop asking for nations if you cannot govern your house. Stop asking for wealth if you cannot account for what is already in your hand. Stop asking for more authority if your attitude cannot survive correction. The way you govern what is small determines whether you can be trusted with what is large. So go back to the little thing. Govern it, record it, clean it, schedule it, multiply it, protect it, improve it, serve it with excellence. Because in the kingdom, the small thing is never just small. It is the evidence of your maturity, and maturity is what qualifies you for more. Now here is where revelation must become action. Because if you hear truth and do nothing with it, truth becomes a witness against you. Write that down. Revelation without obedience increases responsibility. You cannot say, "I didn't know," after the light has come. So now you must ask yourself, where have I been using prayer as a substitute for structure? Where have I been asking God to increase something I have not governed? Where have I been saying, "Lord, bless it," but I have no order, no record, no plan, no schedule, no accountability, no system? The next level does not begin when you cry louder. The next level begins when you become responsible for what the King already placed under your care. So I want you to do something practical. For the next 7 days, conduct a structure audit. Not a feeling audit, not a blame audit, not a "who hurt me" audit, a structure audit. Examine your time, your money, your relationships, your body, your work, your spiritual life, and your calling. 7 areas, 7 days. Sit down like a citizen under government and ask, what is out of order in this territory? For each area, ask 3 questions. Number 1, what has God assigned here? Number 2, what law have I ignored here? Number 3, what system must I build this week? That is simple, but it is powerful. What has God assigned? That gives you purpose. What law have I ignored? That exposes violation. What system must I build? That creates obedience. Are you with me? Don't make it deep so you can avoid doing it. Some people love deep revelation because deep revelation lets them hide from simple obedience. No, no. If your time is assigned, build a schedule. If your money is assigned, create a budget. If your body is assigned, establish discipline. If your relationships are assigned, define boundaries. If your calling is assigned, write the vision and start preparing. This is not self-help independence. This is kingdom citizenship. You are not trying to become your own source. You are aligning with the authority of the King. The King gives assignment, the Constitution gives law, and the citizen must administrate the territory. That means you cannot live casually and call it trust. Trust does not cancel obedience. Trust produces obedience. If God told Habakkuk, "Write the vision and make it plain," then don't tell me you are waiting on God while the vision is still floating in your head with no language, no plan, no steps, no dates, and no stewardship. Write it. Make it plain. Give it structure. Some of you need to set the schedule this week. Some of you need to create the budget this week. Some of you need to repair integrity this week. Pay what you owe. Apologize where you lied. Return what you borrowed. Stop exaggerating your capacity. Stop promising what you never intend to manage. Some of you need counsel. You have been too proud to ask someone who has already governed the territory you are praying for. Go seek counsel. Some of you need to learn the skill. Stop praying for excellence while refusing training. Skill is stewardship. Study is stewardship. Practice is stewardship. Measurement is stewardship. If you cannot measure progress, you cannot manage growth. And please hear me carefully. God blesses obedience, not confusion dressed in spiritual language. You can say amen over disorder, and it is still disorder. You can anoint a mess, and it is still a mess. You can pray all night over neglected responsibility, but when the sun comes up, responsibility is still waiting for government. The blessing is not looking for noise. The blessing is looking for lawful alignment. Heaven responds to citizens who can be trusted with administration. So stop begging only for increase and start building the structure increase requires. Build the container before you ask for the oil. Build the barn before you ask for the harvest. Build the road before you ask for movement. Build the budget before you ask for wealth. Build the discipline before you ask for influence. Build the character before you ask for visibility, because increase without structure becomes waste, and promotion without government becomes destruction. Now I want you to make a declaration, not just with your mouth, but with your life. If this word is correcting you, don't hide from it. Put it in writing. Say, I will structure what God has assigned. Say, I choose responsibility over excuses. Say, I will govern what is in my hand. Let that be your witness, because the next level begins when you stop asking God to bless what you refuse to manage and begin presenting Him with obedience, order, and faithful stewardship. And now we come to the point where order must meet prayer, because when order meets prayer, purpose can finally move. Are you hearing me? God is not confused. The king is not emotional in his government. He is king. His kingdom operates by law. Prayer is petition. Structure is evidence. Capacity governs increase. Stewardship qualifies promotion. That is the sequence. Write it in your spirit. The king gives purpose. The law defines boundaries. The petition presents request. The structure proves seriousness. The capacity protects increase. And stewardship determines whether more can be trusted to your hands. So do not leave this teaching and keep praying for success you refuse to structure. Do not keep asking God to bless disorder because you attached His name to it. God will not violate His own principles to reward confusion. He loves you, but love does not make the king lawless. Grace does not make the kingdom sloppy. Mercy does not make management unnecessary. You cannot pray your way around principles you refuse to obey. You cannot shout your way around stewardship. You cannot fast your way around responsibility. At some point, the citizen must govern the territory. But hear me carefully. This correction is not rejection. This is not God pushing you away. This is the King calling you up. He is saying, you were born for more, but more requires government. He is not exposing your disorder to shame you. He is exposing it so you can build capacity. He's inviting you to become the kind of person who can carry what He intended from the beginning. Purpose was never the problem. Heaven's intention was never weak. The issue was whether there was a lawful structure in the earth through which that purpose could move without collapsing. So today, choose one area, not 10, one. Your money, your time, your body, your family, your business, your ministry, your mind, your assignment. Choose one area where you will stop only praying and start structuring. Before you ask again for more, build something that more can rest upon. Write the plan, set the schedule, create the budget, establish the boundary, seek the counsel, learn the skill, repair the integrity. Convert prayer into administration, and let your obedience become your evidence. If this teaching helped you see the difference between praying and preparing, share it with someone who is ready to become responsible for their assignment. Stay connected, because we need more kingdom teaching that restores purpose, responsibility, dominion, and lawful living under God. And before you leave, write the truth you are choosing to believe and live out according to God's original purpose. Put it in the area where you are now building order. Let heaven see more than agreement. Let heaven see government.